Hello fellow Gunters. One of my favorite mods in Monster Hunter World was the Shinkikami's Gunlance rework. The mod included what we called Unified Shell Type, or Omni Gunlance. This was ditching the separated shell types and instead to get a Gunlance being able to use any kind of shell attack effectively. Good charged shells, good burst fire, good wyvern fire, good wyrmstake cannon. In games like Monster Hunter World, the shell types were very restricted into their best attack. Long Gunlance was useless for anything that was not charging shells. Normal Gunlance got the strongest burst fire but was pathetic at anything else. Wide was kinda nicer with good shells, charged shells and wyrmstake cannon, but still wasn't unable to justify the use of burst fire. Now we go forward to Monster Hunter Wilds and we find a Gunlance that is very hard to recognize. It has countless changes, but the three of the most impact are that shelling damage scales with your attack, wyvern fire no longer being tied into a hard cooldown, and the introduction of the wyrmstake full blast combo. The wyrmstake full blast is overturned as the strongest Gunlance combo, featuring melee attacks, 2 wyrmstake cannons, 2 burst fires, and if it weren't enough allows you can follow it up with a faster version of wyvern fire and is initiated using your shelling attacks and the sweep. It is the Omni attack. Wyvern fire description says that its specialization is shelling and wyvern fire. Not listed there, this is also the strongest Gunlance at charged shells given the bigger base damage. There is also the old previous stigma of being awful at using burst fire. In the old games, using burst fire in wide made each individual shell do less damage than firing them once a time. That's gone, and like you see here, we are dealing a lot more damage on our burst fire. This means that the weak point of the wide Gunlance is gone and you can and should use wyrmstake full blast as much as possible. In fact, if we compare on the dummy the output of wyrmstake full blast on both the best available normal Gunlance against wide, we find out that thanks to the stronger melee hits of the best wide Gunlance, the Guardian Arkveld 1 is a virtual tie between both Gunlances. And then adding the damage of the wyvern fires, we find of the Gark Gunlance is the king on sustained damage. And furthermore, even doing a quick dirty test of a slam plus burst in the training room, we find wide Gunlance thanks to the load shell skill dealing more damage than the best long Gunlance by a good chunk. Even if you could slot offensive guard in the normal Gunlance in addition to the other skills, that 15% extra damage would only be good for reaching a tie, and that is not possible right now. At best you can get offensive guard and artillery. At this moment, the only problem the wide Gunlance has is the low capacity, hurting the mobility of the weapon. For moving around you usually use a combination of the forward lunge, single shells and the moving sweep attack. For medium distances, this means you must spend shells to move, and that dramatically reduces the damage of the first wyrmstake full blast. Of course, give the difference of attacks, if you perform the whole combo wyvern fire included, then it catches up and even ends dealing extra damage. There are also some tricks for getting more movement without spending shells. You can cancel the melee attack of a lunge with either a single or a charged shell. If you do it with a charged shell, then you can hop forward instead of shelling and repeat the combo, being able to move longer distances without the use of shells. So after all this, we find that with the wide Gunlance we can burst, full blast or wyvern fire optimally. Then, wide Gunlance has an additional strength in being the best at using the poke shell combo and charged shells. Poke shell is doing a lateral thrust and then cancelling the recovery with a single shell. This combo is ultra fast and allows you to sneak damage while waiting for a chance to use your wyrmstake full blast combo. Then, there are charged shells. The charged shells are slower than poke shelling but are a 100% artillery attack, dealing great damage everywhere. The charged shells also have the property of recharging your wyvern fire the fastest. The skill focus speeds up your charged shells and makes you fill your gauge at a 5% faster. It doesn't seem much but is just enough, so you can do a combo of 3 charged shells into a sweep and wyrmstake full blast, and at the end of it you will have gained a wyvern fire use. This means you are guaranteed with this combo to always be able to wyvern fire at the end of your wyrmstake combos, raising the damage output by a lot. Finally, the regular wyrmstake also has some merit, being used as a very quick way to access to your fastest wyvern fire. You can, for example, open a fight with an aerial burst and after landing to toss the stake and go straight into double wyvern fire. With earplugs you are guaranteed to finish this combo. Same if you are facing a sleeping monster with earplugs, you can toss a full salvo of charged shells and go into stake and wyvern fire before the monster starts to fight back. So this is it. While the wide gunlance has the side effect of making the other gunlances less desirable, it has the blessing in disguise of granting us with a gunlance able to do everything. The omnilance. Thanks for watching.